Hello, this is Dr. Tamsin, Astor, Chief Habit Scientist. I help people create lives they really love by connecting your daily habits to your big, juicy life and business vision. This is the newsletter for Wednesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, as they say. So this weekly newsletter is called What Has Asparagus Got to Do with Overwhelm? What has asparagus got to do with overwhelm? So I am leading a book club right now with the Atlas of the Heart book written by Dr. Brene Brown, because I'm in a meditation group and somebody shared a podcast which was really fascinating, and it was about the book. And so we decided, a group of us, that we would get together and have a dedicated space to talk about emotions and experiences and the backstory of our emotions and the behaviors that are created by our emotions and the biology and the beliefs and all of those things. One of the chapters in the book addresses stress and overwhelm, and Dr. Brown makes a really interesting distinction between stress and overwhelm. And this is an area that a lot of my clients come to me with, right? Stress is something which is biologically driven, right? It helps us move into action, to run away, to fight, etc., freeze and fawn, the other two. But part of the problem is that in our society, it has become chronic. And I often feel like people worship at the altar of stress, right? And fascinatingly, I think stress is, incredibly unique to each person, and in some level is not quantifiable, right? Because it is so intangible in so many ways, right? But what stress does is it allows us to keep acting. We keep moving forward. We keep taking action. However, overwhelm is when we get to a point of such extreme stress that we tend to stall, right? We get paralyzed, and usually one of two things can happen. One is that we fall into sort of repeated unhealthy habits, right? Like, eating too much sugar, drinking too much coffee to get going in the morning because we're so stressed out and overwhelmed that we can't actually function without the caffeine, the drinking too much wine in the evening to kind of relax and calm down, having the same argument with somebody ad infinitum. Or the other thing that tends to happen is that we go into a complete paralysis, right? We stop altogether. So what the F has this got to do with asparagus, you're probably thinking, right? You're like, why are you talking about asparagus when you're talking about stress and overwhelm? Well, there are a myriad tools to manage stress and overwhelm, but one of the most powerful and easily accessible is food. And in honor of May being National Asparagus Month and National Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm here to remind you that what you put in your mouth matters, right? 90% of your serotonin, that hormone that makes you feel good, is in your gut. So what you eat affects how you feel, right? Asparagus is one of the best foods to help you calm your stressed self. So in case you weren't aware, I'm certified and trained in Ayurveda and as a health coach in that modality too. And in Ayurveda, there are 3 doshas, which if you've, studied at all, you may know that there are these 3 energies, these 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And Vata is the air space energy, which in times of high stress, anxiety, and overwhelm tends to rise. So what that looks like is that your thinking is scattered, right? Your focus is scattered. There's a lack of concentration. There's difficulty making decisions. You move from task to task without completing it. Maybe you get insomnia, and then some of the physical effects of this are constipation, dry skin, your hair starts to go gray, it starts to thin, right? Think of balding, right? Your appetite is diminished, right? So there are lots of effects of a disturbed or overactive vata in the system. So my friends, again, what the F has got to do with asparagus. Asparagus pacifies your vata. Asparagus is your friend if you are in a state of overwhelm, because it reduces and helps you to manage that airspace, that vata energy. My favorite way to cook asparagus is to slowly roast it in a heavy cast iron pan with some avocado oil or some ghee or some salted organic butter, season it with some salt and pepper, and then eat it right out of the pan with your fingers. It just tastes that freaking good. And on a side note, you know, the kind of woody end of it, if you pick up a fresh asparagus and bend it, it will naturally snap off at the point where you can eat it and it becomes too woody. So you can cheat, line them all up, take a knife and hack it off. But my preferred way is to take each piece of asparagus individually and break it where it naturally wants to break. If this sounds good to you and you would like to have a conversation with me about this, you can sign up in the link below and we can have a conversation about how you can learn to navigate through that overwhelm, prioritize that which is important to you, and redesign your life so that you love it because you've got this one precious life. Have a beautiful day.